Welcome back, everyone. It is no secret that a good number of voters do not want a 2024 Trump-Biden rematch, but at least at this moment, it appears that may be likely.
Former Congressman Scott Klug served in Congress in the 90s representing Wisconsin's 2nd Congressional District. He's now launched a new podcast called Lost in the Middle, along with executive producer Jeff Mayers, president of our editorial partner, WISNpolitics.com. Scott joins us now in studio. Scott, thanks for being here.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks.
Of course. So I'm curious, after a career as a politician, as a career as a journalist, why now launch this Lost in the Middle podcast? And what do you see as its role in the greater conversation about politics?
Well, clearly I can't hold a job, so that's sort of the headline answer to your question. But, I got stopped during the first Kevin McCarthy fiasco. And people are just so frustrated with politics today. I mean, I literally got grabbed in the cereal aisle of a grocery store and in line in a movie theater. And people said, what is going on? And that the Republicans are running around the country banning middle school books, and the Democrats are trying to take the stove out of my kitchen. And so we just sort of said, is anybody really listening to the political middle?
I'm curious, as you're doing this storytelling and these episodes are being released, who is your audience? Is it voters or is it lawmakers themselves?
It's not lawmakers. We've done the best we can to try to have everything done outside of Washington.
Do you want them to hear this, though?
No. Because I don't think they'll listen. I'll tell you one story. So if you talk to political scientists and Washington operatives about the huge surge of independents, I mean, independents are now the largest voting bloc in Arizona. People under the age of 30 refuse to identify with a political party. And if you talk to the pros, they'll say, well, they're really closet Republicans. They're really closet Democrats. They sort of don't like this. And that's sort of how they are. And I don't think that's the case. I think, 50% of the people in some surveys say they'll vote for an independent candidate for president. And so what you see in Arizona is actually happening now all around the country, and those are the people we're trying to talk to.
You say that the goal is to really analyze how we got here and how we get out of here. So you've got 4 episodes that are published already. Have you answered that question?
No, but I think I could tell you anecdotes about them. So I'll tell you one really quickly. So I think sometimes America just needs a big time out. And who's the right person to do that? Maybe a mom. So we talked to a woman in Utah named Tammy Pfeiffer, 5 kids, in birth order, a Republican, an independent, a Democratic Socialist, and a Libertarian. And her kids grew up working on her political campaigns, putting yards in the sign and doing all this stuff my kids all got dragged into. And 2 years ago at Thanksgiving, they had a huge fight and half the kids left the room. Didn't have a Thanksgiving in 2022, didn't talk to each other for a long time. So she sets out to set up a political civility index to sort of figure out a way where people can talk to each other and get to everybody's opinion. So Tammy posts this on Facebook, and 36 hours later she has to take it down because the Republicans say it's a plot to silence the Democrats, and the Democrats say it's a plot to silence Republicans. But Tammy's working at it now. She's getting momentum. There are little cool stories like that all around the country. And those are the stories we're trying to tell people, that there are folks trying to fix the current political zeitgeist. And Tammy's just one example.
You served in Congress in the 90s. If you served today, where would you fit in that picture?
In a very small circle. I mean, I was a moderate Republican. I had the 3rd most independent voting record in Wisconsin politics in the delegation over the last 30 years. And unfortunately, what's happened is the middle has shrunk on both parties. And the middle is important because it's the oil that gets things done. That's where you cut the deals. I mean, if you take, the floor crew and ask them to come in here and say, how do we fix the immigration issues? They'll say, well, the protection's got to be better at the borders. And, well, we should probably figure out how to do something with the Dreamers, because those kids came here not of their own volition, and they've been here going to school, paying taxes, getting married, everything else under the world. That's not very complicated. Congress hasn't been able to do that for 10 years. And so I think people are just frustrated that there's sort of just seems to be this lack of common sense. And unfortunately now there are no incentives in the system to get things done, because if I run an ad and say I got things done with Democrats, guess what? I'll get a Republican primary and vice versa.
A fascinating and refreshing listen. Lost in the Middle is the name of the podcast. Scott Klug, former television reporter and anchor, former Congressman. Scott, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Up next, a glimpse of 2024.